the Old Testament is a shadow of good things to come, and that the Old Testament is a shadow of heavenly things. So the way that people did God in the Old Testament, we need to do God in the New Testament, but not exactly in the same way. Yet, when we do God, because the principles of God are the same, when we do God, when we serve God in priesthood, in spiritual priesthood, we need to be finding New Testament approximations. New Testament approximations, not actually approximations. New Testament parallels is a better word. New Testament parallels or New Testament equivalent of the Old Testament protocols. That means you, at least you know, in the area of prayer, you understand prayer is something that they did normally in the Old Testament, and it was something they symbolized in the Old Testament. Now we only pray prayers, we don't symbolize it really anymore. In the Old Testament, they symbolized prayer by incense. Incense was a symbol of prayer. So the high priest, the priest goes into the holy place at the hour of prayer. What does he go there to do? He goes there to burn incense. And as he's burning the incense, the people are outside praying. It's at the hour of prayer. So the voice of the people ascends to heaven with the smoke of the incense, because incense is the spiritual materiality of prayer. Now, David said, let the lifting up of my hands be like the evening sacrifice. Do you remember that? In Psalm 141, he said, let my prayer be set forth before you as incense, and the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice. So there are two items that he's trying to represent here. Number one is incense, and number two is evening oblation or evening sacrifice. But he doesn't have any of them. Right? So what does he say? He said, in the place of incense, let my prayer be the equivalent of incense. When I pray, let it be equal before you as if I have burnt incense. And when I lift up my hand, let it be equal in your sight as if I have brought evening sacrifice. Are you there? So I'm saying that while the principle remains that there is a way to do God, the reality in the New Testament is different. How we do it is different. There are New Testament equivalents of the Old Testament practices that were practiced by Israel. And it is with those eventually that we are able to rise in our own spiritual priesthood.